May the words of my lips and the meditation of our hearts be now and always acceptable in your sight, O God, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. This week I read a BuzzFeed article, an online article, 22 completely bizarre parts people had in school nativity plays. Perhaps the strangest response was from someone in the US. I played a double glazing salesman and a secret agent in the school nativity play. I can't imagine. Emily in the UK said she had alternatively played a raisin and a giant zebra in her school nativity play. And someone named Rebecca said in grade 6 she had been in a school production of The Penguins Who Saved Christmas. It was a musical. She got to play a penguin. Surprise, surprise. No speaking part, though. She just stood there and waved a lot. Someone else said she played lightning in a ridiculous, her word, in a ridiculous nativity play about a dove bringing someone to the baby Jesus, but the dove got caught in a storm. And there's the dramatic tension that every nativity story needs. Someone from Canada said that their nativity play, of course, was about hockey. Apparently, Santa didn't want to be Santa anymore, but a star hockey player instead. The young student ended up being a player on Santa's hockey team and can still remember his one line. Santa has a great chance of winning this game. I played an apple in the first grade Christmas play, said Brianna. I still don't understand how an apple pertained to Christmas, but at least I had a line. So, 22, the variety is endless. No nativity play is complete without a Hawaiian girl in a grass skirt, or a badger and a hedgehog, or the flag of Argentina, or someone being a fairy light and a piece of tinsel, even a dinosaur, because most assuredly, dinosaurs were present at the birth of Jesus. I also read about a church in Atlanta, which, after many years of elaborate pageants of great beauty with a cast of thousands and seemingly infinite preparation and rehearsals, decided to try something completely different that they called the No Stress Pageant. It was the Christmas story of Mary and Joseph traveling to Bethlehem, where Jesus was born, as we all know it. But a team of several parents and other guardian angels, usually choir members robed up and experts at herding 3 to 10-year-olds, stood in the narthex of the church with a box of blankets, lengths of rope, and scraps of fake fur, tying them onto the kids as they came by, 2 by 2 in procession up to the front of the church. And then the nativity story from Luke's gospel was read as everyone's hearts were warmed by the simplicity of the story and the glory of the children's expressions. But the real beauty of the No Stress pageant was that many of the kids came pre-dressed, often in their Halloween costumes from a few months before. So there were princesses and ninja turtles and holy unicorns and Superman and Harry Potters and pirates, all of them around the manger. Once, almost like a scene out of the Christmas movie Love, Actually, there was even a red lobster. So what's going on here? There are all these bizarre parts from school nativity plays, or the no-stress pageant with its unexpected assortment of creatures at Jesus' birth. Is all of this just a crazy modern sign of disrespect for our sacred story? Harry Potter was not present at the birth of Jesus, we can all say with some certainty. And yet, he's there. A dove did not bring someone to the baby Jesus in the middle of a storm. And yet, the dove is there. All Christians want to be pretty clear that Santa had nothing to do with the birth of Jesus, but Santa is there. We just sang that beloved Christmas song, the drummer showing up the manger. There's no hint at all in any of the Gospels that someone played drums at Jesus' birth. Good King Wenceslas isn't in the story either, but we all drag him out once a year at Christmas to remind us of what Christmas is all about. And then on the other side, we even choose to ignore some of the characters who do have a role in the gospel stories, like the innkeeper or Simeon or Anna. There's no innkeeper in my nativity set. There's certainly 3 magi, but no Simeon or Anna. So, what's going on here? I think part of the answer might lie in the fact that the nativity itself is an act of the imagination. And when I say that, I'm not suggesting at all that this story didn't actually happen. But I am saying that the details are pretty thin. And when there isn't much to go on, our imaginations love to fill in the blanks. Luke's gospel tells us the story of Mary and Joseph traveling to Bethlehem to be counted for the census. Luke's gospel tells us that Mary laid the new baby in the manger because there was no room for them in the inn. All of that is in the story. But I think it's from that idea of the manger, which really is nothing more than that food trough that we mentioned for animals, that we start to fill in the details of the story in our imaginations and in our cultural and theological memory. If there's manger, we say there must have been animals, like a couple of cows lying in the stable, perhaps wondering with interest why there's a baby in their dinner trough. And then we wonder, how did this pregnant Mary get to Bethlehem? Well, we say she must have traveled on a donkey, even though there's no mention of a donkey in either Luke or Matthew's gospel. After all, the trip from Nazareth to Bethlehem could have taken several days. So let's give her a donkey to ride on. So a donkey appears in the story, and on it goes. We know that there were shepherds tending their sheep in the fields when they saw a multitude of angels and were sent to the baby Jesus. And we say, of course, they must have brought their sheep with them. And so our nativity scene now includes sheep. In Italy, apparently, one of the shepherds doesn't make it. He's fast asleep, and he misses the whole thing, even though the legend says that he dreamed of the birth. He is even given the name Benin. And Italian nativities usually include a sleeping shepherd in his honor. They also include a host of others that we touched on in the lighting of the Advent wreath. The washerwoman, for example, as well as a second young woman with a baby, and two old men playing cards. They all appear in the scene. Truly, all of that is an act of the imagination. And it all seems to come from that single word. It all goes back to that single word, I think, of manger. We have never hesitated to populate the manger scene. Another part of the answer to what might be going on here is the idea of inclusion. I think we all grasp at some level that this sense of radical inclusion might be exactly the point of Luke's story. The birth of Jesus in Luke is not a story for the big city. It's not a story of power or might. It's not a story of wealth or riches. It's instead a story for the lost and forgotten, the marginal and the excluded. A story of country fields and of a little backwater town. A story of people who have no status, like shepherds. A story of poverty and simplicity that begins on a bed of hay. A story of the night and not of the day. In this birth, God is making a statement, a grand, unmistakable, far-reaching statement. This is a story for everyone, especially if you don't feel perfect or special or influential. God chooses to come to us. God chooses to be born in the ordinary. God chooses to include everyone. Inclusion and imagination work well together in the nativity story. So somebody has put Yoda into the scene. Someone has put Garfield among the animals. The child has put Thomas the Tank Engine near the baby. The cast of minor characters, the cast of unnamed and forgotten characters, is endless, even though none of them are truly minor or unnamed or forgotten. And you are there too. Because God in this birth has chosen you, has chosen to be like you. All you have to do is show up and appear and shove your way into the scene and take your place. In the middle of doing the washing, maybe, or out playing cards, or wearing a Hawaiian grass skirt, or sleeping, as the old Christmas carol says, the carol that we sang this morning, Christ was born for this. Christ was born for you. I have a memory that I want to end with, but I'm afraid I can't confirm this memory. My memory comes from reading the book Under the Tuscan Sun. At least I think that's the book. Maybe it was a different book altogether. But I remember reading a chapter from that book, or some book like it, about Christmas. As I've said, I can't confirm this memory, which is to say, maybe this memory is accurate and maybe it isn't. Maybe this scene takes place in that book, maybe it doesn't. I've tried to find it, but I can't. Which makes me wonder if it actually happened at all. But here's my memory. Most of the chapter takes place in a little Italian village, and everybody is walking around the village, finding beautiful breads and pastries in bakeries, and meeting friends in cafes for Christmas visits, and getting ready to welcome family home for the holidays. But the thing that stands out in my memory, the thing that caught my attention, was the Italian love for creches. Every town center featured a beautiful creche. Some of them with elaborate designs, some of them with real people standing in for the shepherds and for Mary and for Joseph. The creches were a source of civic pride, and people would travel from town to compare each community's representation of the birth of Jesus. And in one town, the American woman that the story is all about stops to look at school creches. Creches made by school children and placed on display. She's charmed by all of them, of course. But one of them in particular catches her attention. In this creche, every figure is made out of keys. Shepherds, sheep, angels, magi, all made out of keys. Even the baby Jesus is a small diary key placed in a manger of straw. We've been thinking about inclusion and imagination, and such a creche of keys, unites both of them, imagination and inclusion. And I hope and pray that for all of us, the key to this Christmas will be understanding that we too have a place in that stable. In some mysterious way, this holy child will unlock our dreams and our desires and will draw us in, where we will be one more character in this motley collection of minor, unnamed, forgotten characters. The more characters, the better. Thanks be to God.